So let us know, Nikki, if you can't hear us, let us know. So just be mindful. So, does anyone have any changes or additions to the agenda? Yes.
Yeah, we actually need to approve minutes, both of the June 9th regular meeting and the June 24th special meeting.
Oh, yeah. I may take the liberty of moving things around depending on how the discussion goes, just to try and be efficient that way. I don't think there's any public comments. I have no comments. Does the board have anything to add? Or,
I'm gonna welcome Lindsay.
oh, well, yeah, we could, thank you. You know everybody's name.
Lindsay, do you know anybody on the board?
I do.
Okay, I just want to make sure that you.
Thanks, Han. Okay, so for the minutes, we have two sets of minutes that are on the website, the June 22nd and the June 24th, and we need approvals of both. We can probably do them together if anyone has any issues or questions.
And you need to do them separately because
Yeah, I
not
think
everybody
so.
was at.
Each meeting, that's
Yeah.
okay, that makes sense. Okay, so it's June 22nd.
No, June 9th.
June 9th.
Yes.
Sorry. I wonder how that got in there, but anyway. Okay, June 9th was our regular meeting.
Move to approve.
Second. All those in favor? And then the June 24th.
I second it.
Okay, gonna move in a second. All those in favor? Any abstentions or Leo abstains, because he wasn't here? Great,
And Nikki abstained.
and Nikki, you abstain also?
I think that's sort of a given if they're not.
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Just stating it for the recording, I guess, since we just raised our hands. So with committee reports, if, I would invite anyone who, from any of the other committees to, if they have something that the board needs to know about or take action on, to speak up. I did put buildings and grounds in just because it's such a major, such a major ongoing thing, and I think it's good for the whole board to hear about that, but there, any of the other, and I'd also say, whoever was at the Friends too, if there's any updates for, so.
I'm just gonna make a comment about the tech committee minutes, if that's okay.
Sure.
It said there were 8 people at the meeting that they.
Talking about tech.
There was only 4. There was me, Tara, and 2 people from the public.
Okay.
So it's not a big deal, but, it was like.
Yeah, told me, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I went that day not because I wanted to hear, but as a supporter.
Yeah.
And as a Tara would at the time help, on me, but she was just trying to get a feel for the programs and whatnot, so.
I could amend minutes.
No, it's just, I like reading about the minutes because I think Matt needs more support from the committee itself. I think, these. When we set the thing up for the once a month, that, whatever you wanna call it, I thought there was gonna be more volunteers involved in that, so. I think it takes up a lot of his time. That's just my general comments about that committee.
Thanks.
I did appreciate what I saw in the minutes, that there seems to be some plans to do that.
Yeah, for sure. So is it premature to talk further?
No,
about
just,
the executive?
just fill it out.
Yeah, so one of the things I was very concerned that we just had me showing up, from the committee, on last Wednesday. But I did want to create a process for approving, future, talking about tech sessions without requiring a committee meeting to approve the content. I want to actually remove content considerations from the tech committee completely because it's not appropriate to talk about library presented content at a committee meeting. So, Matt and I were discussing a process, we could just use, a mailing list, email, talk to the people who are on the current list for the actual, sessions. And include anybody on the board who has concern about that in that email list. So I represented that in the minutes. I brought that concern to the meeting. And Matt and I discussed it. So, so that's one of the things I'd like to change about the tech committee meetings. So we could, we started that program, it's great. Now we could step away and let Matt and the people involved run that
Without the.
session without the board having to directly intervene in the process. So that's what I'm trying to get at.
Great. I'm just gonna know that Stephanie joined the meeting. Hi, Stephanie. So, great. Any other committee? So I'll turn it over to building and grounds, and I guess I'll start with you, Nikki, because you said you would start.
Okay, can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
All right, so I thought I'd just start with a couple of progress updates, and then I'll pass it over to Anne to talk about finances. And then Margaret, of course, you just submitted the quarterly report yesterday, so if there's anything you want to add, I'm working primarily from that document. So first thing, those of you who came in the building physically today, everyone but me and Stephanie probably noticed that there was the missing giant bush to the right of the door. Lindsay had requested that bush would be removed ahead of schedule. There were some issues around accessibility and garbage and other issues. So from what I've heard, the bush is down. That was part of course, what was going to happen on the next round of the project anyway. So Lindsay had just requested that happen a little bit earlier. So heads up on that. In terms of progress, some of you I think are in the know a little bit more than others, but I thought I'd just give kind of a quick recap for everybody. So roofing is done. Hardscaping is in progress. A lot of the cement work is already done. So things like the light post footings and the steps. The conduit for the electrical outlets is all laid, and the anti-graffiti coating on the concrete to make sure that is cleanable. It was in progress. I'm not sure if anybody knows if that's actually been applied or not, but it's happening here in the next couple of days if it hasn't happened yet. The big update I think that people may or may not be aware of is we have had a little bit of a setback with the canopy design. The piers that were originally proposed as a part of the canopy, there were some concerns from engineering about those piers. And so that had to be sent back to be redesigned, which resulted in a couple of things. One is that we are delayed in our schedule. And the last we heard, we're not exactly sure how many days that will mean, but somewhere between 10 to 14 days is what they were estimating. There's also an increase in cost with that revised plan from 5,000 to 8,000. We're still in budget anyway for the canopy because I didn't hear the because, but I'm assuming it's because the canopy is actually smaller because of the changes that had to be made already. So we're spending a little bit less on materials, and then we have this increased cost from the piers, but it's all shaken out in the wash in terms of the canopy. So we are a little behind schedule here. In terms of just the overall project timeline, because we are a little bit behind schedule, that means that the front entrance closure is probably going to go all the way into November. There's some discussion about if it's possible to open the front any earlier, but we're really not sure about that. And there have been some conversations about when that closes. Excuse me, when the front closes, GPI has been in discussion with the town and the library, of course, about things like ADA and parking, safety, logistics, communication, how to make sure that everybody is clear around that. So we're still waiting for dates, as far as I know, unless anything changed in the meeting this morning, for when we're going to switch from the upstairs to the downstairs closure. We didn't have a date on that the last time I heard an update. So that's where we are in terms of progress, and I'll pass it over to Anne just to share a little bit about where we are with the budget. Margaret has been submitting the expenses to the state, and a lot of those have not been. The town has not been reimbursed for that yet, but that's kind of been expected. So we'll see a lot more expenses being submitted in Q3 than we did in Q2.
We're actually 3 to 4 weeks behind schedule. We had a meeting this morning. It has, you said, it is the canopy that has really delayed this project. Pete Lynch was at the meeting too, and at the end of the meeting, he got up and said, we really need to get this done by December 1st. If we don't get this done by December 1st, we don't get paid by the government, you know, it really creates a lot of problems. I think GPI was hoping to extend it beyond December 1st, which that's obviously be a huge issue. So we talked about, you know, efficiencies. We did with GPI. GPI was just kind of curling their thumbs a little bit out of frustration to Lindsay and myself and several others. And the canopy expense is actually going to be probably more like 15,000. There's no wash. It is huge. It's going to be a matter of somebody made a mistake, who has to, you know, pay for that mistake, so to speak. So we're going to talk to the project manager about that. Scott is really, he thinks we'll stay on schedule because we talked today about not even having canopy. And Lindsay can help explain this better too, but the back wall has a pavilion, for better word for it. The side has a canopy. So we talked today to maybe bring us, speed things up a little bit, not actually installing the canopy, putting that on the side for later. Problem with that is that the canopy is already in production. So we're kind of stuck there. Lindsay was very good talking to Pete that the library needs communications. They need to know when we're going to be shut down, because in order to accelerate the timeline, since we're behind, we may actually have to, number one, close the library more days than we expected. You know, number two, do we open up the back entrance for non-ADA accessibility and use the side entrance on the library for those who need ADA accessibility? I mean, ADA accessibility is a huge part of this project on how we open and close the doors. We can't, this door could be ready in 2 weeks to open up. They're talking 2 weeks right now for this, before we get this back entrance open. But will we have the ADA accessibility pieces in place that would require us to have that open? One more thing I'm just gonna come up with too. There was discussion about the railings today. I'm not gonna get into this here. That's another added expense that's coming up. So we're discussing, instead of using the actual railings that we took out and having those replacing them with whatever, new fabricated railings. So that's also a discussion. Lindsay may know more about that. I know Matt was going to a meeting.
Yeah, there was much more corrosion on the railings than they had anticipated, and it would take a lot more work to get them up to standard. So there's discussion of maybe using parts of it. The right out here, this part is flat, so technically it doesn't need to have a railing. So they're thinking, well, maybe we take the part that was down here and put that up on the hill. So a few different options, but it's not gonna go forward as original.
Meet that
For the
decision has
cost.
to, that decision has to be made right
Yes.
away, that's not
Yeah.
something.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah,
In terms of the December first deadline that you were mentioning, does the contract include provisions for holding back money from GPI, to, incentivize them to meet the deadline?
that's a great question. That's a really good question, I don't
We
know.
have to ask.
We could ask, I know that they, GPI wants to put in, when they change construction dates, they put in change orders. And they want to put in a change order, and I know that there's gonna be pushback on the change order of the date. So I don't know how that actually works. With this
Well,
convention.
I mean, it would make sense that, that getting paid versus not getting paid would be an incentive for them.
Yes. Pretty standard working with a vendor on a large project that you don't pay more than half. Because you want to cover, you want to make them whole for their expenses, but you don't want to allow them to take a profit on the work. Until they deliver the project in full. Because what they'll do is they'll schedule other work.
That's
If
sort
you
of
pay them
what,
in advance, they'll schedule other work and then get it done when they fit it.
But
that was part of the problem with having to redo the work on the piers. The sub of doing the concrete, went on to other jobs as they were waiting to get the engineering done. So, making sure that they're back on site, that was discussed at the meeting.
yeah, I mean, it just a little, I don't know if you wanna envision it, but when we need to change the piers, contractor come in and dig up what they'd already put in place. And so they dug up everything and they had to start from scratch, something that was already done, had to be redone, which caused a delay, and then as Lindsay said, trying to get the concrete in. Did they come today?
Yes. Yep. The pad right outside the door is complete. They did that today. So there's a large portion of that complete. And at the meeting, there was discussion of, can we do both up here and down there, simultaneously? What can start being done? So there's a lot of discussion about how we can, overlap some of the work.
For the opening and closing of are we allowed to open the library if we don't have an ADA compliant entrance?
I'm gonna say no. Lindsay?
I wouldn't think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if that work isn't done in ADA compliant, we'd have to just keep the library closed until.
There's some discussion of maybe using the emergency exit on the alleyway. So they did walk that today. They did notice there is a lip on the door, and some of the sidewalk is a little uneven. So they are talking about, possibilities to solve those issues if we could have that door. As our accessible. So a few different options being discussed.
And as far as the budget numbers, I sent those out. Margaret's got a copy, I believe. Right now, we're just under like 22,000.
Not
So with this additional expense, we hopefully won't come up with any surprises in the front.
Question, we did set aside a reserve for overages, correct?
That includes the reserve.
So we're still, in other words, we didn't reserve sufficient money for.
We're into the reserve,
Yeah,
is that what you're saying?
So you're saying we're 22,000 under budget if you include the contingency?
Yes.
Okay,
that's pretty scary. That's pretty close.
We could I mean, there's options of like, right now we have a generator in there, and we could just do the path for the generator and pay for the generator later. We could take money out of the endowments if we, depending what the board wanted to do, so there's options as we go along. The board just needs to. We'll just need to look at our priorities.
Well, I think the real priority is to get it, as much of it done on time as possible, because
Exactly.
we don't want the federal funding to go. So I'll just add, we're pretty much caught up on submitting invoices for reimbursements, but, we won't receive any payments until the town completes its single audit, which they say will have complete in the first week of August. So the state is holding all the payments. So our side of the paperwork is up to date, but they're not paying out until the single audit is delivered. So, that's, one of the reasons why there wasn't a ton of invoices being dealt with. And now also the fact that both, Anna and I were doing other things. And so, but we're caught up now. And, the state is meeting with us on Friday afternoon for, they do a quarterly in-person, Zoom meeting. And so my expectation is that there'll be more answers to some of these questions, by then about, the opening and closing and where we're at with some of these other issues. So stay tuned for that. Any other questions or? Nope. Okay. The new trustee, because we did talk about it before the meeting started, but we have submitted the new trustee's name to the select board, and I hope that they will be able to join us at our next meeting. So this is Stephanie's last meeting, so thank you for your service in this kind of wild ride you've had, so.
Yeah, I wish it could have been different. I do.
Yeah.
But thanks.
So there's that. I'm just gonna ask, are we still good with this order? Do we wanna just do an update on the library director position?
There was that conversation that you and I had thought we should have an executive session first.
Okay, so I'm gonna request a quick executive session to discuss personnel. We'll ask you to step out, but I need a movement and a second. I move that we go to executive session.
Second.
Okay, so
Turn the recording off.
we'll have to turn the recording off, thanks. So the question was about the staff role in the current process, so.
So to answer your question, there will not be a staff on the panel. We'll do as we did previously, where they'll get to meet the finalists and spend up to, I believe we agreed up to 90 minutes to have that time with them.
I have a question about that. Given the trustees role by statute in the hiring of the director, is that a dictate by the town that there not be a staff on the hiring committee, or is that a consensus that has been arrived at by the board president and the town?
Well,
It was discussed at the
prior meeting, we had an extensive discussion, and I would say that with a lot of discussion, it became a consensus.
Of the board and the
board
town.
and the town.
Okay, I wasn't able to be
Yeah,
there,
you
but
were, yeah.
that's,
So,
that, I respect board.
Better.
Respect our all board.
Do you mind if I just?
yeah,
Just one.
sure.
So I know I've heard from, everybody, I was wondering if we still want to schedule that meeting though, so that we can get together in person and talk over. Okay, So
Yeah, I cannot do the Thursday morning session, but I could do tomorrow morning.
I could do tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
okay, so tomorrow morning, what time are they offer?
I think you
Just a
said
second.
10.
Okay.
There are three of us
Yeah.
trying to fill two slots, which is fine, but I don't think that I was given the, like, these are the dates and times of sessions and here's how we're gonna choose when we're gonna do our screening meetings. So could you update me on that?
Leo, that came out with the email with the access to the files.
Okay,
The two dates of either Wednesday, the 15th, 10 or 11, I think, if I remember correctly, or Thursday, the 16th, 11 o'clock, I think. And that was why I wrote back and said, I can't do this, I can't do whichever I can't do, the 16th, but I can do the 15th.
I thought there was gonna be a little discussion.
Tomorrow?
Yes.
That, I think it might have been, because I usually have department head meeting on Wednesdays, but that's been, canceled. So I do have tomorrow morning available.
Okay, I didn't hear about 10.
That just happened.
I'm just inventing it, because I can't remember. I remember the dates, but I don't remember the time. I just remember that late morning.
I have difficulty 10 o'clock. I have difficulty before noon.
Okay.
So 12:30 to 1:45 is great for me.
I can do that.
Okay.
Leo, are
Is that good for you, Leah?
I'm not available tomorrow from 12:30 to 1:45.
That's unfortunate.
Are there alternate times that were being offered for this?
I think it was the 16th in the morning, but I believe I heard
I can't do
others
that.
say they can't do that.
So I'm gonna ask that you guys take this discussion outside of this meeting.
You got it.
Because it obviously is gonna be.
Are you getting all that
But I was hoping, I was pulling for you that you could lock that in.
We couldn't.
All right, and thank you for volunteering to do it.
I do have,
Did you get your answer on the process? So good?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to check with you.
I do have another question that I don't believe we've answered, because the previous library director, I'm sorry, like Jerry, wasn't able to join us on the committee. That he recommended someone else, but I'm not familiar with that person he recommended. Was it, yeah?
No, it wasn't
was somebody from
Dave.
Keene.
Yeah,
And I just, because now we do not have, someone with library, like a.
do we wanna ask Mary? Has anybody reached out to her?
I don't believe so.
See, Mary, I just know Star talk about Mary, so I don't.
I can reach out to her. I mean, I can find somewhere I can find her. And she's a local, she's a local person. Yeah, she was the library director at Marlboro College for umpteen years and then went to Dartmouth Public Library.
Marty Fisk.
Oh, that's not Martin. Yeah, that's somebody different.
Oh, that's who he recommended from the,
That's who Jerry Crow.
That's who Jerry Rick.
but I haven't reached out to them. I don't know them. I wanted to make sure it was agreeable before, but I'm hearing Mary now.
Right? Yeah, I'm just saying Mary, I mean, she is local and she has lots of experience.
But, so I would think, can we reach out to Mary first before we determine the date of when we're gonna review the applicants to screen?
Sure.
Then I can give out more dates. That sounds good? Okay.
Thank you. So you want me to do that?
Yeah, or I could, if you
You
can
go
give
ahead.
a contact
You go
information.
ahead.
I don't, can somebody share?
I'll see if I can drum up her contact information.
Okay,
I ran
and I-
into her at the co-op.
Okay. All right.
All right, on that note, I'm gonna turn it over to Lindsay. To do all the things.
Hi, everyone. I think things are going well. We are, working on figuring out, what needs to be done in the director position, figuring out who's going to cover what in the children's room, as I'm doing both things right now. So there's that. We did have a question actually for everyone here, on getting our department reports to all of you and how that has been done. There's been various ways that's been done in the past. And, we weren't sure how the current way is. Right now, the staff has a, Google Drive that we put everything into. And, we weren't sure how you were all getting that information, recently.
So I think most of us are comfortable at this point with being, having share rights on a Google Drive. So I don't want to speak for everybody though. But I believe at this point, it's become customary for us to do that.
If somebody could set one out.
But was the town, I had heard that the town had an issue with us sharing information via Google Drive. And so
The security breach.
with security and they do have some, interest in.
Yeah,
that.
sure.
And so I mean, again, what has happened in the past is there's a Google Drive that's set up with the month and all the documents for the board meeting are dropped in there, and the people who have access to the Google Drive are the emails of this group.
Prior to that, everything was collected by Star or Anna and emailed to us in a packet.
In the back, right?
Yeah.
So staff was having discussion because also, previously when we were doing packets and actual paper packets, so all those reports would be available to the public as part of the packet. Obviously the Google Drive is not available to the public.
Right.
So there was discussion of maybe on our website where we have the different committee, minutes, was to have one of the things that just said department reports. And then everyone could just go to that page and it would have the
And
minutes.
that's really how the select board does it too. Their packet is like
It's a backup, I'm sorry to interrupt, may
so,
Yeah. So what they do for the select board is, just like we just did right now, the memos go to Jessica, the executive secretary, and the town manager, and they compile that into the backup material that goes out with the agenda.
Yes.
And then that's saved on our drives, on our website.
So before we did the Google board, then Star was emailing a packet of everything to us every month, right? Which is, considered by the town to be best practice as opposed to the Google Drive.
Do we need a motion?
The challenge, it would make, from a board member perspective, it would be ideal to get everything at once. So the agenda and board packet, the challenge around that, has been the timing of the availability of the department reports and the director's report and whatnot. And so that would be the question as to whether those would be available in the right time frame of warning the meeting.
So if they're done, they need to be done really 6 days before the meeting so that the whole thing can go at once. Because what happens, which was I think the harder thing for us as board members is that you get an email with the agenda and 5 attachments and then 4 more emails with other attachments and you may or may not get them. And so when we went to the Google Drive thing, at least they were all in the Google Drive and they were there, but that's problematic. So, I mean, if we could the idea of having there be a folder for the meeting on the website and have it be populated from there, that at least is public, but it's also kind of messy, so.
I just wanted to bring up why is the Google Drive considered to be not secure? The state of California uses it for all official documents. So if it's good enough for the state of California, it should be good enough.
So it's not covered, it's not part of our firewall system. So, and also, we also have the Freedom of Information Act to consider too. It's not, it's a public document that's not available to access. So there's a couple other features that in line with that.
So you guys are using what system?
We use Microsoft, so we're the Microsoft suite. So we all have, in the library included in that is all covered through the firewall systems and
So you have
all the
OneDrive.
updates. We have OneDrive.
There's little, if any, difference between OneDrive and Google Drive. I'm perfectly content to use OneDrive. Does anyone have an issue with switching to OneDrive?
No, but isn't the issue that, that the documents, whether it's on Google Drive or OneDrive, it's not being made accessible to the public consistent with open meeting stuff.
Sure.
I think that is part of the issue as well.
So what's the key part of the issue? If that's the key part of the issue, then putting it on the website solves that problem.
Seems to be, yeah, seems to be the best.
But that just means that,
That's to be done.
yeah, somebody has to do it.
That's staff, yeah, so
That's
staff
staff.
needs to,
Yeah.
you know. So it needs to be a thing where the staff needs to know to plan those reports
Right.
being due far enough in advance.
And then the board members just get sent a link
Yeah,
That's
to
what
that.
How does the select board do it? Because those documents have to all be public.
Right, so they're emailed, as Jessica emails them out as her warning of the meeting. And then Seth will put them on the town website.
Okay.
Click on it, there's a link on
So
it.
we can do the same
we do
thing,
the same thing for our website.
email, and the warning needs to go out, when it needs to go out, but the packet, the email with the packet can wait until those things are collected. So like we have Tuesday meeting, maybe the Friday before or something like that, and be posted at the same time.
It's just like,
So if I look at the town site and see how you guys have it laid out, and then I can work with Matt to get that on our website. So then instead of staff putting it into a Google Drive, you can put it onto there, and then it would be.
part of the backup material.
Yes.
We can, Seth and Jessica can go over that.
Okay. Save that process.
Great, would that include the financials too, because we're not getting those anymore? Could we add those to it?
We're not getting them this month because it's the end of the fiscal year and we're pending final numbers. Otherwise, you will be getting them and, it's public information. What can I say? It doesn't have account numbers in it. It's not gonna be a security breach in that way. A lot of detail there that anybody who wants to go look at.
So this is a combination of the department reports from the library staff and trustee committee reports. And the idea here is that we have a single packet that contains all of that material, a single file, basically. That's how the town does it. They compile it all into a single PDF.
I would say that the committee minutes and stuff would still be on the website where they are, now, as a, but things like,
Department reports.
yeah, so really the library.
If we have like a bylaw, not a bylaw change, a policy.
Yeah, if there was like
Meeting.
something, if anything that was also needed for the meeting, with like, that's policy or
On
material.
my screen, like,
Yeah.
this is that page in question, so we
Right.
just add one department
There would be.
report
Yeah,
section.
department.
Yeah,
It's not a big
Define
change to the
yeah,
website.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
the financial reports, for instance, then would they go in with the minutes from the finance committee?
They do now,
They do.
and this is what they look like now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
There's
right,
one for every month, an agenda and a minutes for every month.
yes,
Yeah,
but
but you
there
open up the
are,
finance.
there are
minutes, there's no
separate finance
reports.
reports that generally
Yeah.
come to the board.
It's just.
They're not part of the minutes, they're different documents.
So we could include that material,
Okay, well, that's what I'm asking, do I send
but
it
it
to
becomes
Lindsay and
publicly
say,
available.
I know, it has to. They'll put these with the minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
The only thing you gotta think about timing too, if you guys meet on the 3rd. Do you have those statements ready? I'm just,
right, we're changing our meeting to the first Tuesday. And there will be months when they're not ready and they're always ready by the second Tuesday, but they're sometimes not ready by the first Tuesday, depending on how
Which Tuesday it is, like if it's the first of the
if it's
month,
the first of the month, they're not gonna be that.
so.
the other thing I'm just gonna mention, I'm not understanding exactly how, but from what Matt and Gina told me, that they have a third party that does some of the construction on that particular piece of the website. I don't know exactly how.
I spoke to Matt about it. And
So they have like a third party that comes if they have to make changes to.
certain things we can change on the website, certain things that the other party has to do. But Matt was looking at that today and he felt confident we could add a separate section.
Okay. That seems to be the answer.
Good
So-
question.
And then the only remaining question is how you will schedule the due dates for all those reports. And
Right.
we don't have any involvement in that. Okay.
So might we get an email saying everything's up and ready and a link? Or
I can do
we
that.
can do what we did
once
this month
we
and
get-
just sort of navigate our way through the.
Yeah,
text.
I'm sorry, I did not like,
Libraries.
do any hand holding around people getting their stuff.
Okay, that's fine as long
I'm
as we know
sorry.
what to expect.
Once we do get it set up, I can send that out and,
Thank you.
and everyone can know that it is up and running, because it may take us a little bit to get it figured out.
Equal, we'll manage, we'll muddle through.
And then the rest of my report is just, we are still in the middle of summer reading. Programs are being very well attended, both upstairs and downstairs. The construction is still going. Staff has a lot of things lined up for when we do, know when the switchover is going to happen. We do have a huge checklist of all the things that we have to get into place. Letting the courier know what door they're gonna be using, letting our delivery people know. So staff is on top of that. We have started letting the public know that it will happen soon, since we don't have an actual date. So we have a lot of things ready to go when we actually get a date that is gonna happen.
Can you tell us, what the impact has been in terms of circulation and traffic, for the children's room?
Yes, surprisingly, the children's circulation has gone up. For June, we were up 300 items over last year. We were up 500 items from the year before and 781 items from the year before that. So, which was surprising. We definitely thought that this would affect our circulation, and it hasn't.
Oh, no, it's on the other.
That's the dinosaur. That's.
Right.
It's the
So,
elevator.
the elevator is a big draw for kids. They get to ride the elevator. So that has been very popular. We're seeing less people spending a long time in the children's room like we have in the past. But the circulation numbers are still really high. And we also have seen a shift, which we saw somewhat last year with traffic, that we're really busy later in the day, after camps let out, after swim lessons. So 3:30, it's like after school. We're usually busy.
So how, the summer meals are different. Are the summer meals the same this year as last year, being completely off-site?
Yes, they're only doing the
The
meal
Thursday pickup.
at the Thursday pickup at the high school, yes. So there aren't separate locations anymore.
And do we have, any thoughts on mitigating the impact for the, downstairs patrons of the library? When the downstairs entrance is closed?
We don't know how it's going to affect traffic until we actually close. We will be moving the parking back up to here, there'll actually be more parking up here than there was in the past. So that might be a benefit to people. So we're really gonna have to see if it isn't, you know, an inconvenience to people or if people will just work around it. We really don't know until we do it.
But it's estimated to last for a few months,
Yes.
at least
Right.
3 months.
And which, you know, this store did close mid-April, so it's been a long time.
So reopening mid-October, the front entrance, give or take. Is that the time?
They're later. Probably November.
We're trying to do everything to open as soon as possible, but could be in November.
Okay.
So,
People will adjust, I think, you know, depending on.
Yeah, I think they're putting great posters around and notifications. But I think, you know, more will be able to communicate with Seth so he can get the word out there to him.
yeah, and once we have an actual date, I think we can really start publicizing. We're just trying to give people a heads up that it will be happening.
Am I correct that the few parking spaces in front of the library are going to become unavailable when this is going on?
During construction, yes, yes, they do need that room.
We can only be within the white lines to the sidewalk, so we
Right.
can't be in the street,
It
so.
makes sense, and you know, that will also so a question, and maybe this is a building and grounds question more than it is a board of trustee question, so, you know, apologies for raising it in the wrong venue. But, are we going to, furnish signage directing people into the municipal parking lot to park for the library?
Yes, they have, DPW and Pete Lynch have a whole parking plan
Great,
that they are ready to.
so
And there
people,
will be-
people know where to go. That's-
I'm sure there'll be something on the website too, like.
Exactly,
you guys already
we
have.
do have a map
Mhm.
right now with the altered parking, and, Jean has been working on that, so that when it does change, we'll have the new map up.
I just noticed today, it looks like there are a couple of library handicapped parking spots in the state parking lot, which is the next lot up.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Yep, and so those will come back up here when we're ready, but yes, they've been there.
So there'll be a lot of people making right turns or left turns at the post office.
Just one other thing I'm gonna mention and see, hope you don't mind, is that, thanks to Sally, they put a lock on the door to where, so nobody can sneak into the closet. So they got in, that was done, completed this past week, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing before we close down the meeting, is there any update from Friends of the Library? Did anybody go to the event on Sunday? And I just would like some feedback.
So yes and yes. I noticed it wasn't on the agenda, but I'm happy.
I apologize for that, yeah.
It's.
I just- No.
Yeah, I attended the Friends meeting for June.
Mhm.
And there was discussion about the upcoming garden party that in fact occupied a good portion of the discussions at the Friends meeting. And then I attended the garden party on this past Sunday.
Thank goodness.
I was the only trustee
I know.
there, I'm sorry.
Usually it's me.
I'm not
you know.
gonna like wave a flag about this.
Yeah.
I didn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, people have to work and people are out of town, but I was there, so I was there to sort of raise the flag of the board of trustees.
And it was amazing.
The 40 people came to the party. Food was amazing. I didn't really eat, but other people were eating a lot of food. And it was the weather was fantastic, and we basically closed down Meadowbrook. Like you could barely get by. There were so many cars parked on Meadowbrook. But yeah, it was a fantastic event. And I volunteered our house for a future garden party if that property wasn't available in the future. So we have a large property, we could do a garden party like that. So yeah, it was, and I raised close to $1,000 between the raffle and the, I didn't get the numbers from.
Well, I'm going to the next Friends meeting, so I'll come back and make sure
You'll hear what they raised.
how much money they.
And then the other discussion at the Friends meeting was how to adapt to the change in the schedule for opening the book sale. And it looks like they have a line on, like, how they're going to approach, not being able to open on Friday, not being able to open on Black Friday, as they usually do. So they're still working out exactly how they want to publicize the change and notify the public that your usual day to stand outside the library at, 10 a.m. waiting for it to open so you can grab your books that you want to buy. So if, but they've adapted. There was talk about maybe having a preview day earlier in the week. And I actually brought up to them the possibility that they would have a fee-based book dealer, because the book dealers come anyway. Book dealers can pay a preview fee. And the feeling that the Friends had was they didn't want to preferentially offer access to book dealers, even if they paid $25 or whatever. And, that's their decision, it's their book sale. So, but yeah.
I know Star, and they got nasty emails yesterday, last year.
Yeah, because book dealers will come in and sort of hog the space, and my wife was there with me last November. She noted, she said, those book dealers are so rude, so. Like they closed off the aisles to the books, and she was wanting to look at the art books. So,
Anyway, it's a vicious cutthroat thing. I would
Yeah.
get back.
Everybody's trying to get a deal.
Yeah. Leo, here's something to.
Yeah, sorry. Given that it's not a sure thing that the front of the library will be open, Thanksgiving week, would the Friends consider an alternate site
For the book sale.
An alternate date maybe might make more sense.
Well, or
December.
an alternate site?
We could raise the topic when you attend the meeting. I'm sure they'll love you for it.
No, I mean, it might be something to consider. I just think about how the donations of books come here and how the storage of books here and the sorting and all that stuff that happens pre-book sale happens here, and the idea of schlepping the thousands of books to some other place, and also them paying for it out of their treasure. I mean, because you'd have to pay.
The logistics.
I mean, but I think we should just.
Yeah.
By the time book sale happens, people will understand how to get into the library via the various alternate routes we have, and so, I mean,
I think to your point too, is that after that first, I'm gonna say weekend or 5 days, nobody's there for the Friends anymore. All the book sales go through the staff, through the front desk for the next, 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah. So, I mean, if for some reason there's something going on where it's the date, but I think that, let's leave that to them and their expertise. That's what I'd say.
Good idea though.
So,
Think it later. Think it in December.
sorry about that addition to the.
You're messing up my agenda.
Yeah, you're messing up our agenda. So continuing business, this came up because there was a lot of, discussion in the past few weeks around, library safety and, behavior. And, I just sort of wanna, I thought it would be useful, considering that we have a newish behavior policy, to maybe look at that and have Lindsay speak to some of the things we've been having at the library, and maybe there might be some things in this policy we might wanna look at again, or not. But, it's been kind of an eventful couple weeks with, some things going on in the library that, you know, have been, I think, well handled, but are good for thought. So I was gonna turn that over to you. Like, the reason why the bush is gone is one of, you know, again, related to, people's maybe maladaptive behaviors around the library. So.
Yeah, so I have, been talking to the supervisors. We do have, what we call a long super friends meeting, once a month. And I've discussed with them that, you know, policies, safety, procedure is what we will be focusing on during that meeting, specifically. So there are some things, Sally, gave me a report of her findings. We do have some, other input of things that, there are things that need to be tightened up. There are policies that really, staff really needs to start enforcing better. I think there's a lot of things in place that we just really need to, as a staff, sort of refocus on. There, you know, it's been a very eventful few months here, and I think everybody sort of needs to get regrounded in our daily practices. I think some things have fallen by the wayside because of all the things that staff has been juggling. So we are gonna, as the full timers are going to have a meeting to really discuss, okay, what practices we really need to refocus on, taking some of Sally's observations, you know, going through what she saw, and making some changes, but also really refocusing on the way things should be done. Is sort of where we are right now.
Are we following some safety protocol and not being explicit? Cause I mean, I have a fairly active imagination. I have no idea what you're talking about. I mean, what are some of these things that are happening, or can we not actually articulate them?
I'll leave that to your discretion.
Some things like, you know, we do have the book alarms. There was a time where one of the book alarms, you know, someone was exiting the library, the alarm went off, staff didn't respond to that. That is something, you know, that we need to retrain people on. Like, a lot of times it's nothing, but it's not always nothing. And sometimes, you know, when staff might be juggling a lot of things, that doesn't really, it doesn't always get addressed, at that time. So things like that, working with staff. There's concern about, you know, doing wellness checks on people in the library, who's going to do that, who's responsible for walking the floor. In past years, many years ago, we did have a big problem with theft. And so it became, you know, somebody on the staff was walking through the library every 20 minutes, half an hour. And then the theft died down and that sort of stopped happening. So things like that, where like, yes, you might be working on a big project, but you need to stop, you need to be walking around, you need to be surveying before. So there are different things that have been picked out, that staff needs to refocus on.
Theft from patrons or theft of materials?
Years ago, it was theft of materials that we.
I know, there's been stuff with patrons too. I say 2 years ago, there were several instances.
Exactly, we have had that where, you know, people will leave their bag, while they go to the bathroom and they come back and it's not there.
What about the software that Cody used to talk about? We had some sort of a software for reporting problems that arose.
Yes, that is the issue. Having a system that staff can keep each other informed about incidents that have happened. Currently, it's just a notebook we write things down in. Cody has been working on making a form that staff could go in and fill out, and it would generate onto a spreadsheet, so anyone from anywhere, any staff member could access it. That sort of got put on the back burner when Star left, and, we've had so many changes. There also is, LibCal, which is the software we use to do our room reservations, our library of things. That whole system, they also have an incident reporting module that could be purchased. It is expensive. It's $1,200 a year. And it's something that they have just started putting together, so we haven't all had the opportunity to sit down and see a demo, to see what that money gets us, if it's something, you know, do we need something that, involved? So that's another thing that staff needs to discuss and sort of look at the different options.
So you're currently using a physical notebook that probably lives in the office behind the circulation desk instead of anything electronic. And so our staff asked or prompted to see what's been going on lately in the library at the beginning of their shifts.
Yes, yes, and a lot of times if someone has something, they'll send out an email saying, there was an incident last night, it's in the book. Because there was a lot of discussion about confidentiality. Do we include names? Do we not include names? So there's been a lot of questions about the right way for us to be compiling this information and making sure the information stays secure.
Yeah, I'm just gonna suggest to reach out to the state, because I remember they came here in this room, John Potter was here too, and we had a whole discussion on just that, name and confidentiality. The state library association, you know, came and discussed it, and so I just a recommendation in that area.
So besides, getting back to walking the floor more frequently, which I think would also help with patron wellness, as you know, just keeping an eye on. Are there other things that you think folks need training on, or refresher, or support from outside, like the, you know, frats, or like, you know, are there some like things training wise that folks would need to maybe go through again and get reminded of, in the next month or two? That would be helpful.
I think that having that meeting with our full timers being like, okay, what are you guys seeing that is a problem?
Can the police department also come in maybe and provide some sort of, for better word, but training or support of some of the problems that they have? Maybe one of those meetings?
And I did meet with the police chief the other day, and we did have a very nice conversation. Sally that was there with us, you know, talking about different things happening in the library. So.
Is our policy the way it is, like, is it useful? So is there, like, is the language, you know, for in our behavior policy, the kind of language that is useful for you to, like, either enforce or inform people to what the expectations are? Does it need to be looked at again? I mean, it was one of those things where we kind of talked about it. We said it, I don't remember us having like a big in-depth discussion about it, because we kind of read it and we're like, yeah, you know, we would behave under these, you know, like, I don't think that we maybe necessarily reviewed it in a way, looking at its usefulness for, I'm just wondering if we need to take another look at it again, or if there's particular things that the staff might point out, that if the language was stronger or different.
I think one thing that so two things. One was we were trying to make it a positive, like, please be respectful, as opposed to don't do this. That people tend to be more receptive when you're saying, these are the things we want you to be doing, as opposed to don't be doing these things. The other thing you get into when you have a big list of don't do these things, is that people say, well, you didn't specifically tell me I couldn't do this thing. Which does happen, where, when you say, oh, it clearly says, don't do this, and they're like, well, I was sort of doing this instead, and you're like, well, that is the same thing. So not trying to not have a list of, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, but being like, we want you to be respectful of other people. Obviously, cursing at someone is not being respectful. So instead of saying no cursing, no yelling, being like, be respectful, that was our intent when we were coming up with these things. There was also a lot of discussion about, could we have posters or something large, like we've noticed in other places where they have a big welcome sign, and it's like, here are the things you need to do to be in this space. There has been a lot of discussion over that, about how that would look and what graphics we could use. Sometimes it's really hard to come up with a positive graphic when you're like, be nice to people. So the staff has been talking a lot about those things.
Where there's great examples of that, most fourth grade classrooms, and,
Yes.
are like, be respectful, be helpful.
Pick up after yourself.
I think it's like usually 4 things.
The high school has like a poster when you enter,
Yes,
and there's a sign hanging on the wall, very large, and it's 3 principles. Nice and simple. So we could, and if you want to like elaborate a bit, you could say example, and then a negative behavior. Don't do this negative behavior, because it fits in with like the respecting other people. It fits in with, consider, that other people are trying to quietly enjoy the library, things like that. Those are the kinds of things you want to make people aware of.
We recently spent a bunch of time on this, even as a board,
Yes.
and we, this policy had 3 readings. So I think that you're right on target, Lindsay, when you say it's not the policy, it's the enforcement.
Yeah.
That's what I was.
We would be happy to revisit the policy and make it positive
Yeah.
and the things.
I mean, I think it is, I think that's the thing that I remember, was making it not be a list of things not to do, but, but I just wanna make sure that if the staff comes up and says, oh, well, we can't do X, I want the policy to be able to support you guys in actually doing your job, as opposed to being not helpful or a counter. So that's sort of why it's working it that way, because the thing we have control over is the policy, really. Not.
And I think, what Lindsay said, what Neil said, though, I mean, keep an eye on the policy and say if we need to make these changes, because that policy was also reviewed by the department heads. Listing whatever it was when we had it, so it's not the policy wasn't something that Star came up with, it was a collaboration, if I recall, the departments. But I think, I'll be happy to reach out to the state or to other libraries and see what their policy looks like, to see how we can modify it. But I think the best thing just what Lindsay's doing is reinforcing, training, having people come back and do those patrols and those types of things, and coming up with ideas on managing it. Is the Brat group still coming to the library?
they do. Yep, they do.
Do they come during the day or just at night?
Both. Yep, we do see them throughout the day, and especially before we close.
We don't have the social worker anymore here. Does she come?
No.
There used to be a social worker that would come in.
We
There's a
tried
police social
very,
worker separate from the Brat team.
yeah,
Yeah,
we
it was
tried
separate from the
very,
Brat team.
different things, and none of them were sustainable for very long.
So policy is pretty new, and as you put it into practical use, you might well find that everybody who thought about it and consulted on it didn't think of something. And that's, that's what we need to know now, and, so our message maybe is, if that happens, we're more than happy to do a big tweak or a little tweak or whatever it
Thank
proves
you.
to need once you've started putting it. in
Yeah,
place.
I think that's the thing, like, I just need some time to get staff focused on this again and, discuss, okay, these are some problems that we really need to refocus on. What can we do to change this?
Yeah.
Um,
So you thought you had X covered in the policy and it proves to not be, and so let's see, let's keep after it, let's fix it if we need to.
Lindsay, do you have a copy of the current policy that the Board of Trustees has prepared?
I do not have it with me.
Okay, but I'm looking at a copy of it right now, and it actually starts with a whole bunch of be respectful, sort of positive things, and that's why I'm like, that didn't mesh with my recollection of the policy that we agreed on. So, we could make it a topic that you review the policy that we have and come in and we can discuss if it has deficiencies. We're happy, because we tried to be, and I know Star did a lot of work on it, and we all did a lot of work on it. We tried to be comprehensive. And actually, we started with a very positivating, that's I think a word. Like the beginning is very positive. It's like, be respectful of others is literally the first bullet point. So let's, I'm happy to, like, I think we can review this, in a future board trustees meeting and figure this out.
And I think the other message is that the staff needs something specific training wise or support wise to make sure that we know that, because we can, we have resources and we gotta make sure that everybody's safe and happy at the library.
Yeah.
And as Lindsay mentioned, our police chief, Jeremy Evans did offer to, if Lindsay wants, the community resource specialist to come and spend some time and talk to the staff about their role in the community and how they can help with that. And Brad has becoming more,
Yes.
the presence has been more, but it's like you're all saying, it's like start with the littles, start with the littles, because those can help with the bigger picture and all of it. So just helping to reinforce some of those.
And people aren't leaving their kids here unattended for long hours, because that was I remember the other one was the child behavior policy.
Yeah,
When do parents pick them up? That's been good so far.
right, yeah, nobody has, yes, people are getting their children on time. Yes, in my long history here, it's only happened a handful of times. And your
Policy is very specific.
Yes.
Yeah, I know,
Yes,
the final one is,
okay.
I think like the personal.
I think the 3 times it's happened
Yeah.
when I've been here, the parent has been like, what do you mean you close at 6? It's Thursday. I'm so sorry, I'll be right there. Now that everyone has cell phones, it is not, as big a problem as it used to be.
So some things to consider, like you see, like keep personal, property with you at all times. And Lindsay's aware, we've had good conversations about that. Just helping staff to reinforce that, because you'll see a property, left for 45 minutes or at the end of the day, they may have to put it in the lost and found. And it's really a matter of like, if you help enforce that little policy of like, you need to bring those, you need to take your belongings with you, that makes the space also more welcoming, because now there's a table available for someone else. So just thinking of it along those lines of how you can help with this language still kind of preserve that policy, but then also continue to make it a welcoming, safe place for all. And something that maybe isn't in there, but maybe considering one that I know even the police chief mentioned to Lindsay was the very large items that sometimes are brought into, or multiple items maybe coming with people,
bicycles.
not, I think more just some backpack sizes, like some of these backpack sizes, and so there's been some other safety concerns on that. And then one that isn't something that we've mentioned here, but there has been conversation, and I know this is may not yet welcoming for everything, but there has been discussions of some cameras in specific locations that may be necessary just for more safety. Not breaching any form of confidentiality, but for just giving the, entrance and exits, of what's going on there.
The library is a public space. And I don't believe there should be a reservation about installing a camera in a public space. So we can discuss it further.
Yeah.
That's too big a topic for me.
It's too big.
That's,
I'm just making.
I mean, I think that kind of plan, you'd really wanna have like
Yeah.
someone to present like a plan and some real reasons, is like
Right.
why here versus why there, because, I mean, it is very important for people to have confidentiality around what they're reading and, the materials they're accessing and all that stuff, and cameras complicate that, but this is a large building with lots of nooks and crannies, and sometimes very few staff here, and, we've had people try to like stay overnight, so, I mean, sometimes,
Yeah.
it's a balance,
I'm just, so many years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, I had a library director, retired, come visit here and circulate around. She was surprised how our bathroom downstairs on the first floor is tucked into that corner. Because that's a risk. An adult or whatever could take a young child into that bathroom and nobody would know
We'll
about it.
see them, yeah.
Because, this,
The staircase is not, especially with both entrances, maybe.
yeah, there's,
So when Jeremy was here, he had his eye, and that, again, I know it is a big topic, you're right, but, it's just,
Too big. for-
it's too big for now.
Right.
but
A
it's
tail
good.
end
Yeah,
of
yeah,
a board
But
meeting.
yeah.
that might make something later on, well, we don't want anything to happen, but in a sense, definitely, I think there is a general awareness that there's some areas of the library that could be problematic.
And Lindsay mentioned, I shared with her some observations and just reportings. She's more than welcome to share them with her supervisors and anybody here that's interested in seeing that.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I just wanted to know, it definitely is in the forefront of all the supervisors, and, we are going to dedicate a large chunk of uninterrupted time to, what are the steps we need to take, what order, what is the most important thing for us to talk about right now? And, so yes, that is definitely, of one of our highest priorities.
It's gratifying.
and I think,
Motion to adjourn?
Oh, I was gonna say.
I was just gonna say,
Just
now's a
have
good
one
time
thing.
because winter's coming.
We have one more thing we actually have to make a decision on, right?
Thank you, Ms. Stark.
I am gonna head out.
And it's the,
Excited.
the team sleepover. We need to, the state, we need to approve the openness of the-
We're trying to have.
whatever that.
Do they actually sleep over?
Yeah.
They do. It's, so it's just our teen advisory board. So one of the perks of being on the teen advisory board is you get to do the annual sleepover
In the library?
in the library. It is scheduled for August 22nd. That is the Saturday before school starts. And the time would be 8 PM until, 8 AM on Sunday.
I motion that we approve this
A
time.
second,
Why does it say change on the agenda? Was it a different?
Originally, we thought it was gonna be August 29th. They had originally thought that was, and I was like, that's after
I
school
think
has
that was one
started.
of my notes, that was my note that snuck through or something. All right, so so thank goodness that. brings
All
us
in
to that.
favor?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Yeah.
We have to take a vote on the whether or not.
All in favor, aye. I thought that was acclamation there.
Yeah,
I totally,
And we do have 2 staff members here the whole time that night.
Great.
all right. Motion to
Better you than me.
Hopefully not.
Yeah. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks, you
Bye,
guys.
everybody.
see you on Friday?
Friday indeed, I'll see you on Zoom.
What time does that
I think it's 2:00, and I will send the link. Because, yeah, how would they know?